Now, the decision to have kids in this day and age, at least for me, is a very interesting experience. Leave it at that. My partner and I have been thinking about having children. My initial attraction to her and a life together with her was built off of this mutual understanding of how important it is that couples are honest with one another, that we allow each other breathing room, that our lives in the spiritual sense are very, very important. And from this understanding, there comes a natural tendency to want to give or share that experience or that, you could say, understanding of life with another human being, aka a child. Meaning, you want to share the abundance that you feel in your life in such a way where it feels natural to have a children or to bring another life into this world. And this juxtapose, or the contrast, I should say, this realization in myself that, at the rational level at least, I am not ready to have a child from the physical resource point of view, the context of having enough money, or at least in my mind, thinking that I have enough money. I don't even own my own home. I work on a freelance basis now, where work is not necessarily, you could say, guaranteed. And so I'm living kind of like the life of a medieval character that travels from here to there, kind of like the Witcher who uses or takes on contract jobs, and just does what he needs to do to take care of himself. And that can be a really wonderful and fulfilling life. Okay, but at least from my point of view, the game changes quite a bit when you take on the responsibility of a partner and a little one, okay? And that's the threshold that I'm contemplating right now, is whether I trust in life to provide me with those resources as I need them, which seems to have been the pattern so far, and it's worked out beautifully. But there's something in me that wants to hold off, that is a little tentative to having a child, and in some way it breaks my heart, because the woman that I could be having a child with right now is a wonderful, wonderful human being, and I feel quite a bit of soul expansion coming our way if we choose to remain partners, if we choose to take on a life together. She feels the call to children a bit more than I do, and that's where the discrepancy is. The whole point in discussing this with you is to share with you, especially perhaps young men who feel called to the journey of self-inquiry and spirituality, the importance of discovering your own process. And what do I mean by discovering my own process, or your own process? I mean the process in which that is calling for you to recognize the depths of your own being, and to live that being in the world as yourself, where there's flow, where there's synchronicities, where there's abundance, where there is energy, perpetual energy, where there is a feeling of doing what you are called to do, okay? Which is very much a difficult practice to unfold when you have another human being that you're responsible for, a child, a partner. And it's not impossible by any means. It is not impossible by any means to raise a family and to come into your own, but it is certainly challenging, especially in this day and age, where the cost of living is skyrocketing before our eyes. We're working more and more and more, making less and less and less. Healthcare costs are going through the roof exponentially, it seems like. And doesn't seem like there's any end in sight to these rising costs. In fact, it seems as though there's going to be a massive psychologically tilted bubble that implodes at some point where people just have enough. And we're going to go through a very interesting time in the history of Western civilization where we are likely to have to not necessarily start over, but really consider what we're putting our time and energy into, and collectively arrange a massive shift in our priorities. But that's a video for another time. What I'm speaking to is the individual awakening of the soul, where, at least in my experience, as I learn more and more about myself and the nature of my own reality and the nature of my own being, I feel as though my order of operations is to find the work or the calling reflected in the external in such a way where there is abundance, not only financial abundance, but also abundance in energy, abundance in friendship, abundance in community. And to have that support system built first, to be your own being by yourself without the constraints and the constrictions of codependency with your partner, to have a personal practice whereby you can continually return to your center along with all the external support systems, which is, again, financial, community, and housing, you could say. These all need to be in place for me so that I can feel as though my cup is overfilling. And with that overfilling cup, I can pour into other people's, not only my partners, my child, my community, my friends, but also the world. To know that you're contributing your greatest potential into the world through the ease and the grace of your own flow. That's the potency of life that I want to live. Okay? And it's a timing thing, really. I'm learning more and more as I discuss this with my mentor, Lilia. It is really a timing thing. If you feel in yourself that you are a cocooning butterfly that is not quite a butterfly yet, would you, in a sense, interrupt that process and shortcome yourself into becoming that butterfly that you know that you are in process of becoming and feeling and sensing? I don't think you would. If you understand yourself enough, you will know where you are in that process. And so, at the moment anyways, I know myself to be in a certain phase of that process, and it's not quite at the level whereby I feel intrinsically a comfort and a safety in bringing another soul into this into this world. I do feel that abundance coming. I do feel that time freedom coming. I do feel that capacity to have a continually overpouring cup of abundance in all different ways, energy and resource alike. But it's not quite there. And to add to this, there is this understanding. When you understand this in yourself and you feel this in yourself, you also do not necessarily bank or you could say wager your happiness on any of these things coming into fruition. Meaning, your happiness is not tied to just having a baby, the identification of being a parent. It's not tied to making a certain amount of money. It's not tied to being a certain person in the world. It is instead tied to being yourself and allowing the world to support you as yourself, as you are supported by it and it's supported by you. And so that you can feel this fulfillment that is beyond what I can describe. It's a as I see it in my mentor, it is a perpetual giving and receiving of energy. She is a ball of energy and delighted and clear and happy and fulfilled and in perpetual motion at all times. And I have yet, before meeting her, have known anybody quite to that degree of experience or being. And so I knew that was within me, and it's a tremendous synchronicity to recognize that in her. And so I know it exists, and that's what I want. From that level, from that standpoint, I do see myself having children. But that process takes some work. That process takes some integration. That process takes some digging. It takes time for the outer to reflect the inner in your environment, in your community, and in your vocation. And so what I'm trying to say here is if you sense that within yourself, don't shortcome the process. Don't pull out of it faster than what is necessary or sooner than what is necessary just because you're rationally fulfilling an idea or a ideal that might not truly be your own. Allow things to blossom as they come. And I feel that the generations to come deserve that approach, conscious approach, in coming into this life so that they can too understand and feel what it is to be a vibrant, loving, and alive human being. That is my vision. That is my take on the parenting, whether to have kids or not to have kids thing. Could go into a lot more depth about it, but I think that's the good start and what I've been feeling for myself for the last couple months. So just wanted to share that with you. Perhaps it may help you understand yourself a little bit more. That's always the hope and the I guess you could say the dream behind doing these videos. But anyways, thank you guys for stopping by and watching all the way through. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.